When she gone.
First time in Islington tonight.
Yeah,
playing in the O2.
Actually, yeah. I mean, band's only done like 3-4 dates before this anyway.
Okay, right. So when did you guys decide to sort of make the King Mob?
Project started, let me see, back end of 2010.
All right.
And I got together with Chris Spedding and 16, and we did 4 tracks with a different rhythm section. We had Andy Newmark on drums, great drummer. Yeah. Guy Pratt on bass. Those 4 tracks got us the record deal, but the guys didn't. Actually, we never asked Guy because, as it turned out, he wasn't around when we came to do the album. He was working in Australia. Andy decided that he would play the album with us, but he didn't want to do road work.
Right.
So we first of all looked for another bass player, and that's where Glenn Matlock came in.
Yeah.
Chris played with Glenn over the years and suggested him. Glenn suggested Martin.
Yeah, Chambers.
Actually wasn't much of a, because as soon as he said it, we all went, well, why didn't we think of that?
You're right, yeah.
So that's the 5-piece that cut Force 9, which we cut last April, May.
It's a really good album. I really enjoyed it. Is it true it only took you 3 days to produce?
It's slightly, yeah. The bulk of the album was done in 3 days.
Right.
We included 2 of the tracks that were done with Andy and Glenn.
Yeah.
And which was a 1-day session. We did 4 tracks with them. We did King Mob, which is on the album, and Celine, which is on the album, and then All Sexed Up is another track which we've got as a giveaway on our website. And there's one more track called Pills, which I think we'll stick on the website over the next couple of weeks, actually, as a giveaway.
Ah, brilliant. When you were DJing in Hackney, you mentioned that the young crowd seemed to respond well to old school music. Do you have a lot of young people in the audience now? Or is it?
Well, what we've had before, and I guess we'll have tonight, is pretty much of a mix. I mean, from say 20s up to 60s and on.
Yeah.
My personal viewpoint is I'd rather hit the younger demographic, but because of who's in the band. Yeah. People that have picked up on us are, Vive la Rock, Classic Rock Magazine, Mojo, etc., which is, it's great. But my mission is to kind of take this kind of music to the younger audience because I know they like it. And they don't get a lot of opportunity to see it outside of a stadium.
No, because you've mentioned...
And to me, that's not the real thing.
Because I've mentioned that you guys are like the antidote to X Factor and generation where they're listening to not such.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I hate all that music. Yeah. I mean, it just sounds like nothing to me. It's made by people looking at screens in air-conditioned rooms with everybody chatting in a very low-key kind of a way. And to me, it's just impossible to create excitement like that. What you get is a kind of, really crisp sounding stuff and a lot of interesting fractal type mixes. I was a film composer for 30 years. Yeah. So I was in right at the beginning of computer music. I used the first stuff. I know how it is. And I know what it is and I know what it does to you. And it's not great.
When it gets too compressed, it sort of loses its value.
You just cannot beat. In the end, the last few years that I made film and TV music, I ended up just making it with a bunch of people, like King Mob, just recording live.
Yeah.
I got so fed up with overdubbing, with processing. It's a soulless process, and I just don't think it achieves anything.
Is there any modern music you do enjoy?
Not really, no.
I
listen. I listen to Radio 6, and I hope to hear something. Actually, no. Really, just the last time I heard a piece of music that knocked me out, new music, Sufjan Stevens.
Yeah.
But you're going back. I mean, that's like 7 or 8 years ago. Elliott Smith, I liked. Now, it's tragic, in my opinion. It's absolutely tragic.
Yeah. And you think the music business still works the same way as it does back in the 70s?
Music
it's
business
completely different.
With me being out of it for 30 years, Since we started promoting the album, it came out in October. So we started promotions, say, from July 2011. And it's been a real education for me how it is now and how fragmented the business is. And nobody has any confidence and nobody has any clear idea, in my opinion, of what they're doing outside of acts that are heavily marketed and manufactured. Lady Gaga knows what she's doing. I don't think it's any good, but she knows what she's doing, and it fits the parameter.
Yeah, so it's quite hard to adjust back into it then after being away.
Well, it's been interesting, and I keep my eyes open. I keep alert to it. The key for King Mob is to try and get into areas like festivals and stuff where there's a younger crowd, and then we can prove the point or not.
And obviously you played with the Sharks back in the 70s. Sure. How is it different now playing with King Mob compared to when it was back then?
Well, the scene was geared towards things like that. Sharks was a band that people expected to be a big band. Chris Spedding had a reputation. Andy Fraser came out of the Free. Things were expected of us. As a band, we didn't deliver on record. The live gigs were good, but we didn't really deliver the albums that we should have done. Having said that, because of the way the situation was, if we had delivered those albums, I think we would have found a big market. We did very well in the States, and when we toured there, that went very well. But in those days, everything was geared around rock acts and record companies.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the record company's not such a big deal.
And what do you think it is about the King Mob that's got such good chemistry between all you guys?
Well, it's hard to say because, the chemistry's changed. We've now got a new bass player, Toshi. It's fantastic. I think as long as we stay to the spirit of what we started out to do, anybody that's good can fit into it. If you think about it, we've already had, 3 different bass players and 2 different drummers. So it sounded good every time, slightly different.
Yeah.
Tonight here at the Academy, we've got guest guitar players, Nick Ralphs, Phil Manzanera, and Wilco Johnson, and we've just been running through with them. Again, it changes the equation, but as long as you stay true to the pulse and the spirit, it should work.
And what do you think is next for you guys? Are you thinking of hitting US anytime?
Well, that would be nice. We've started recording the second album. We've done 4 tracks for the second album, which we'll play tonight. Honestly, in a lot of ways, that's where my head is at right now. We've got some gigs through the summer, but Force 9 was very well received, and I want to make sure that the second one is better.
Answers on.
Not worse.
And for young rock stars now trying to make it now, what sort of advice would you try to guide them into?
Well, I think it's very difficult for young people because
quite competitive.
You ask the difference between now and say the 70s, the early 70s when I kicked off. It seemed like you could do anything at that point. Nowadays, to the younger player, it seems like everything's been done.
Right.
So how does the new rock band find its way in and out? My suggestion is listen to Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Because I think Led Zeppelin and Jimmy Page in particular figured out something very interesting about the construction of songs. And it's something that I took in mind with the band, which is that the construction of Led Zeppelin songs is much more musically interesting than you might think. And I would listen to that and say, there is a way of the Zeppelin, and I would advise young musicians to follow that.
Do you have a relationship with Led Zeppelin at all?
I met Jimmy Page, asked him to join the band, and he gracefully declined.
That's great. That's it, honestly, all we needed.
Great.
Thank you so much for that, Stephen.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it very much.
Quite fun, thank you.
Cheers.